The first scream ripped through the morning like a hot blade through flesh. A woman's voice, high and broken, begging for her child. Tell's hammer stopped midair, the half-finished katana glowing red on the anvil. Outside, steel flashed under the sun, Japanese raiders in black masks laughing as they dragged people from their homes. And Tell, the quiet blacksmith everyone thought was just a runaway, whispered one word that froze the air. Finally. He did not move at first. He stood inside the dark forge, smoke curling around his bare chest, staring at the sword he had no business making in a village of lost souls on the edge of New Orleans. The blade was perfect, folded 1,000 times the way only one man in the world had taught him. His old master, the same master who sold him for a bag of gold 3 years ago. The woman screamed again. Tell tore off his leather apron like it was burning skin, grabbed the katana still too hot to touch, and stepped into the light. What happened next, the village would talk about until their teeth fell out. He moved like smoke and thunder. One raider turned, smiling, thinking this big black man with a strange sword was easy meat. The smile stayed on his face, even as his head rolled across the dirt. Another raider lifted a rifle, too slow. Tell spun, the katana sang, and the man's arm landed 3 feet away, still holding the gun. Blood painted the morning red. Children hid behind their mothers, but they could not look away. 10 raiders came, 10 bodies fell. In less than 1 minute, the street was silent except for the soft drip of blood and the heavy breathing of a man who had not fought in 3 years. Tell stood in the middle of the dead, chest rising and falling, eyes empty. The katana dripped. The village stared, part thank you, part terror. They had taken him in because he was quiet, strong, and asked for almost no pay. They never asked where he learned to kill like that. Old Oblin, the forge owner with the white beard and kind eyes, limped forward through the bodies. He put a shaking hand on Tell's shoulder. "Breathe, boy. Let it out before it eats you alive." Tell looked at him like he was speaking another language. He wiped the blade on a dead man's jacket and walked back into the forge without a word. That night, the village head called everyone to the square. Torches burned. Faces were hard. "We go tomorrow," the head said. "We meet those dogs in the valley and finish them. Our young men will lead." Every eye turned to Tell. He stood at the back, arms crossed, saying nothing. They decided for him. Tell will take the front. He already showed us what he can do. Cheers went up. Tell's jaw tightened. He knew the valley. He knew how many raiders waited there. 40, maybe 50, armed with rifles, cannons, hate. Going there was suicide wrapped in pride. He went home, sat on the floor of his small room and sharpened the katana until the edge could cut a thought. At dawn, the village marched out proud, 23 young men with old guns and sharper courage. They reached the stables. Every horse was gone. Panic, shouts. Someone found the note nailed to Oblin's hammer. "I took the horses, tied them by the stream. Do not follow me. This is mine to finish. Tell." Oblin read it aloud, voice cracking. Half the village wanted to run after him. The other half was too scared. Oblin looked toward the dark valley and whispered, "Lord, protect that angry boy." Tell walked alone. The moon was thin and cruel. He reached the valley just before midnight. The raiders' camp glowed orange, 47 men eating, drinking, laughing about the village they planned to burn tomorrow. Tell knelt under a huge oak tree, katana across his knees. He closed his eyes. He breathed slow, the way his master taught him before everything went wrong. In, out. The anger rose like a black tide inside his chest. He let it come. He did not fight it anymore. He welcomed it. Memories flashed. 15 years old, in a hidden dojo far across the sea. A Japanese warlord who bought a slave boy because he was big and strong. The warlord named him Tell because it meant iron. Trained him night and day, taught him the katana, the spear, the empty hand. Told him, "You will be my shadow, my silent death." Tell believed him, loved him like a father. Then one night, the warlord sold him to American traders for guns and gold, laughed while they chained him. "You were always just a tool, boy." The tide inside Tell broke. His eyes snapped open. They were not human anymore. They were the eyes of something that had waited 3 years for permission to stop being human. He stood. The first raider died without a sound, throat open before he could blink. The second turned, mouth open to scream, but Tell's blade was already through his heart. By the time the camp woke up, 6 men were already dead. Guns fired wild into the dark. Tell moved between the bullets like it was rain. A man swung a saber. Tell caught the wrist, twisted, took the saber, and buried it in his own chest. Another tried to run. Tell threw a short knife. It landed between the shoulder blades with a soft thud. The camp became a storm of steel and screams. They tried to circle him. He laughed, one short broken sound that scared them more than the blade. He cut through them like paper. One big raider, their captain, stood on a wagon and roared. "Who are you?" Tell stepped over bodies, blood dripping from his face. "I am the boy your people threw away." The captain charged with a long naginata. Steel rang against steel so hard sparks flew like stars. They fought across the camp, breaking tables, kicking over fires. The captain was good, almost as good as the old master, but Tell had 3 years of hate saved up. He fainted left, spun, and took the captain's arm at the elbow. The man screamed. Tell grabbed him by the throat, lifted him clean off the ground. "Tell me his name," Tell growled. "Who?" The captain spat blood. "The warlord who sold me. Say it." The captain's eyes widened. You are the ghost child. He said you drowned at sea." Tell smiled for the first time in years. It was not a nice smile. "I'm harder to kill." He dropped the captain and walked away. The man bled out begging. When the sun came up, the valley was quiet. 47 raiders, 47 bodies. Tell sat on a rock cleaning the katana with a piece of silk he found in the captain's tent. His hands did not shake. He felt empty, light, like someone had cut a chain he had been dragging across the world. He walked back to the village at noon. People saw him coming down the road, alone, covered in blood that was not his own, the katana wrapped in cloth on his back. They parted like water. Nobody spoke. Oben waited at the forge gate, eyes wet. Tell stopped in front of him. "It's done," he said. Oben opened his arms. Tell fell into them like a child and cried for the first time since he was 15. That night, the village threw the biggest party anyone could remember. Music, food, laughter louder than fear. Tell sat on the forge steps watching the children dance. A little girl with braids came up, not scared at all. She touched the wrapped katana. "Are you a hero now?" she asked. Tell looked at the stars. "No, baby. I'm just free." He never forged another weapon. He made plows, pots, pretty iron flowers for girls' hair. People came from all over New Orleans to bind his work. They called him the quiet blacksmith. Some still whispered about the night one man ended a war. He never talked about it again. Years later, when he was old and gray, children would sit around his chair and beg for the story. He would smile, touch the long scar across his chest, and say the same thing every time. Anger is a fire. You can let it burn you, or you can let it light the way home. And somewhere far across the sea, an old warlord woke from nightmares screaming about a boy with eyes like midnight who was supposed to be dead. But that is another story.